Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. Today we are going to talk about my seasonal reading wrap-up video thing. It's just going to be my reading wrap-up for the last 3 months for spring. This is actually, I think, my first video of doing this. I don't actually remember if I've done this in the past, but I'm trying to do quarterly every time now. For every time I do like a TBR, I want to do wrap up, just telling you guys what was my favorite books, and if I have any disappointments, I want to explain my disappointments very briefly and go from there. This month I read quite a bit of books. I think what I'm going to do in the future, I'm going to start slowly doing like cool edits, if I can know how to do it, of like how many pages I've read, how many books I've read, like genres and all that. I want to really break it down in the future. If this video does really well, it's alright. I don't really care. I just want to talk to you guys about it in general. So yeah, in general though, I have 4 favorites. I have 2 disappointments. Let's get into the favorites before we talk about the negatives. You know, why not? First one on here is Happy Place. I really like this book from Emily Henry. As you can tell, for this whole season, I read a lot of Emily Henry, and my rules are not to do more than one author, which was actually harder than I thought, because I was like, oh, well, I don't have that much. But most of my books I've read this season was Emily Henry or Sarah J. Maas. I actually think that's hilarious though. That worked. So I picked Happy Place, and I think Happy Place was really, really good. And I've explained it in my video that I liked Happy Place for the sheer amount of like nostalgia of things where you're just getting old, essentially, where you are becoming an adult, and sometimes the things that you used to do when you were younger are just not that anymore, where you don't live with these friends anymore. You don't have these kind of friendships that you once had with these same people, because you guys are just living different lives. I really like that element of this story a lot. And it's also, like I always say, I keep saying this every time I talk about Emily Henry, but I really like how most of her books, the subplot is the romance, and then she has a main plot where the romance is just there, but the main plot is the focus. And that's what this book does, is friendship, I guess, where you have to realize that your friends that you once were so close with, you would ride or die with them, you guys grow apart. And the only way to stay close together is by putting an effort and seeing them, even by texting them once a week, every day, whatever, or giving them a call once in a while. It's all those little things that really gets you through it with your friends. The 4th book on this one is No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. I read 2 books from Cormac McCarthy for my spring, and it was All the Pretty Horses and No Country for Old Men. I think All the Pretty Horses was really good, but I do like No Country for Old Men much more. I binged that bad boy. I think I read it in like 2 days because I really, really like that book. This book is much deeper than I thought. I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. So going into this, I didn't have high expectations because I already knew, hey, the movie's really good. I'm sure the book is probably better, and the book is better, but man, that movie is really good. This book though, it's really good. It just talks about how basically it's harder when you are older. You get to see, I feel like it's like the foolishness of the young. You get to see young characters all basically killing themselves over money, but then you have the old where they kind of don't do anything. You get to see more grotesque, more violence the older you get, but when you're younger, you don't really think about it. And it's a really deep story when you actually think about it. That's why it's called No Country for Old Men, because it's a way of life for younger men, but when you are older, you see that kind of violence and you don't actually want to interact with it. It's just a really cool story. I really liked it. I recommend everyone checking out Cormac McCarthy. This one is a manga series, and that is Vagabond. I read Vagabond back in February, and I really liked Vagabond. Vagabond is really deep, and I love it. You follow Musashi, and basically, the whole plot of this story is he wants to be the greatest swordsman. And you learn so much about it, where the plot seems so simple. That's the thing. Sometimes with plots, you can make a plot really simple, but as long as the story is really good, it's fine. I don't ever think that deeply. There's a lot of books I love. There is no plot, or there's barely a plot, and it's really good. And that's kind of how I look at Vagabond. I don't think the plot of him wanting to be the greatest swordsman is that like key. It's more of him just being a character and learning who he truly is. And that's how he learns how to be the greatest swordsman. I just think it's really cool. I think it's a really, really deep story, and I recommend everyone checking it out. The last one on here is The Mask by Dean Koontz. Like I said, I try not to pick more than one author. So I picked The Mask on here because it's actually the only Dean Koontz book I read this spring. And I'm kind of upset. I'm a little upset with how I did my spring TBR. Like I said, I think almost every book I read on here was really good. I liked almost every book for the spring. But for my summer TBR, I changed it up a lot more because I'm like, man, I didn't get to read a lot of these books I wanted to read in general. That's kind of sacrifices that you made. With The Mask, I really like it. You are reading a book about spirits traveling through other people and redoing events that happen at the beginning of the prologue. In a way, it's so bizarre, and that's the best way to describe Dean Koontz in general. Is Dean Koontz is just a bizarre writer, and I love it. His writing is not simple, but it's very fast paced. He really gets to the point in his books. I really do enjoy that. You can sit down and read his book in an afternoon. Most of the time you could actually finish one of his books in an afternoon and just carry on with your day. And I really do appreciate it. This book is very, very cool. And it's just, like I said, it's just the weird things that he does. Like there's times where the like when lightning will strike and one of the characters will just like get a flashback of getting chased by like an axe or seeing someone getting chased by an axe. And you learn so much about it where it's just, I don't know, it's just a weird book, man. But I really do like that book a lot. And I gave it a 4 out of 5. I gave all these books besides The Mask a 5 out of 5. I think The Mask was really fun, but it wasn't a 5 out of 5 for me. But it was just a weird book and I really did enjoy it. So my 2 disappointments, I'm going to talk about them kind of briefly because one of them, I'm actually doing a giant ranking / review video in June for it. So I'm only going to kind of be brief about it. That is ACOTAR. I think the series was kind of a disappointment for me. There's 4 of them and I just was lukewarm about, well, there's 5 of them, but I'm lukewarm about 3 of them. So I'm like, it was a disappointment. Did I have high hopes going into the book? No. But again, I don't really care if when I read books, I don't really care if it's directed towards women. I still want to read it to see, hey, maybe I'll enjoy it. I think there's parts of it where I did enjoy, but I think the weakest part of ACOTAR is, well, the 2 weakest points for me when I read ACOTAR was the info dump was just way too much. That was just a lot. And there was no multi-POV. I feel like if the book was multi-POV, it'd be really, really good, honestly. And that's what happened towards the end, which is cool. But after that, I'm like, man. So ACOTAR is on there. Like I said, I'm going to be talking about, I have a giant video of ACOTAR coming out in June. So that's really exciting. The next one on here is the 3rd arc of One Piece, Skypiea. I just felt like it was kind of boring. It was very slow paced. It took a long time for you to get to point A to point B, and it just felt very repetitive of how these characters all act. I just sat back, I'm like, all right, where's the magic? So I am reading one more arc of One Piece, and if I don't like it, I am officially going to be done with One Piece. Will I make a video about why I don't like One Piece? Maybe. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens. But for me, I don't see the hype behind it. It's been 3 arcs already. I'm like, really? Like this is it? So I don't know. I'm not really living up to the hype yet. And I really do. I'm trying to be open-minded about every single thing I read. I try going in with an open mind of, why does people love this book? And I never ever try to be a hater on anything, but sometimes it's hard to. But with One Piece, I've been struggling. So those are my 2 disappointments. And I think ACOTAR, I'm not going to give you my rating on ACOTAR because I want you guys to check out the video of me talking about ACOTAR. But with One Piece, I gave like the 3rd arc for Skypiea like a 3 out of 5. I didn't enjoy it that much. So I felt like a 3 was a good average. If you guys made it to the end of the video, what did you guys think about my favorite books of the spring and my disappointments for spring? Do you agree with what I say for my disappointments and my favorites? What are your guys' favorites reads for the spring, and what is your guys' disappointments? I'd love to know both down below. Last but not least, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.